Hello, bunny fans. Welcome to another episode of the Bunny Coach podcast. Today, we're addressing common worries about the bonding process, things that I hear all the time from the people that I bond for and the people that I help online, so that hopefully you'll feel better about bonding. So these are some of the common issues that people have about the bonding process. They're anxious or they're nervous. They have a fear of messing it up. They're unhappy about restricting the bunny space. Is it cruel? They can have concerns about time, energy, and patience to persist with however long the bonding is going to take. So first of all, anxiety and nerves. So just want to give you assurance with this that it is normal. Everybody feels this way. Even at the start of the week when I'm starting bonding, I often don't know the bunnies that are coming into me for bonding, and I can be a little bit anxious about it, I won't lie, about how it's going to go and how they're going to be and all that kind of stuff. So even me with all my experience feels that way. So you definitely are not alone. I believe that most people are capable of bonding with some guidance and support. Of course, it's a skill that you've never used before and it's something that you have to learn, but most people are capable of learning that. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this.
Here are some of my best tips to help you feel less anxious and stressed about it.
So remember the bigger picture. They can't see it, but you can. When you're starting the bonding process, have a picture in your head of what it's going to be like when your bunnies are together. So have a picture in your head of how lovely it'll be when your rabbits are living together. You've only got one pen or no pens at all if your rabbits are free roam. Your rabbits are binking and grooming and cuddling while you're sitting watching TV. There's peace restored in your home again. So keep that in your head. And when the day is difficult, have that in your head, because the rabbits don't know why you're doing this. The rabbits are like, why are you putting me in this pen with this other rabbit that I don't understand and I don't like? They can't see what you're trying to do, but you can, and this is what you're aiming for. So keep that in your head, because that will keep you going on days
when you're feeling anxious or stressed.
This is what I'm aiming for. This is what I'm dreaming of. Just have to keep going one step at a time is all. Take it slowly at your own pace. Don't put pressure on yourself. So like we were talking about, make it fit around your lifestyle. Yes, you have to make a commitment to it. Yes, you have to put the time into it, or they're not going to bond, or it's going to take you months and months and months when it doesn't need to. But at the same time, don't put pressure on yourself. When you're having a day when things are difficult, then take a break. If you really can't bond on a particular day, then don't stress about it. If your day is going to be broken up in the middle where you have to separate the bunnies, do a session in the morning and then put them back together in the afternoon, because every hour they have together really makes a difference. But don't put pressure on yourself. Don't feel like I have to get them bonded by this time, or I have to do X number of hours a day. Just do your best each day and they will get there. So don't stress yourself out, because if you're feeling stressed, the bunnies will pick up on that as well. Try and be calm as the bunnies pick up on your nerves. Fake it till you make it. The rabbits absolutely are very in tune with us. They're for our babies. They know us well. They know when we're having a bad day, right? They know when we're feeling sad. So they will know if you're feeling anxious and stressed when you put them into the bonding pen. So try really hard not to let that rub off on them. Try and come at it with a very cheerful kind of disposition, even if you're not feeling it. And when you're having an issue with the pen and you're having to separate them and calm them down, you're giving them strokes, and you can be saying to them, everything is fine, you're going to be friends, it's all good. And you might inside be going, oh my gosh, they've had an awful fight and now I'm worried about this. But try not to put that across to them. Everything is fine. Use the voice that you normally use with them to reassure them when they're feeling a bit out of sorts or anxious, or when you're talking to them on a day-to-day basis. And then just keep faking it like that until you feel better about it, because every time you do a session, you will start to get more relaxed with the process. So starting is nearly the hardest thing, and then you do start to get more relaxed about it. So just keep faking it till you make it in the meantime, because if you're anxious, the bunnies will feel it and it does make a difference. So also look after yourself during the process as well as the bunnies. This is something there isn't enough online about. Bonding is a difficult process in that it can be quite exhausting, because you're trying to put in long hours with them. When they're in the pen, you are, oh, they're going to be okay. So your ears on them, even if you're not directly watching them and you're doing something else as the bonding process progresses, but you're aware of them all the time. You're aware of what they're doing. That can be quite tiring. Not to put you off, but just to realize that is the way it can be. And it can feel like it's very long if you're bonding every day. Even if it's a few weeks, it can seem like it's quite long. When I was running my 8-week process, I would often find halfway through that a lot of people, you could see their energy was going down a bit and they were starting to feel a bit, are we getting anywhere? And it really helped them for me to say, yes, you are. I can see progress every week. So last week this was happening, but this week now it's not happening. So that's how far the bunnies have come. So do look after yourself. Do make sure that you get enough rest. Do make sure that you feed yourself well, or somebody else fetches you food while you're bonding. I do that. It's great. I'm bonding, so please bring me dinner. I can't cook tonight. And do make sure that you get some fresh air and that you take a break if you need to, because it can be an emotional process as well. These are our fur babies and we love them. So it is very important that you balance your own physical and mental needs as well as the bunnies. And that will help you to feel less anxious, because you'll be coming at it from a sort of a stronger point of view as well. So finally, another thing that can really help is to be prepared and do your homework. Like anything else, it's a new skill, and the more we know about it before we go into it, the better off we'll be. You'll feel less anxious if you feel more prepared and you know what to expect, what the process is going to look like and what kind of commitment you're making. That will help you to feel more prepared as well, and you'll be less anxious going into it. So just to get yourself in the right mindset for that. So another fear that people have is a fear of messing it up. So this is something that I hear a lot of as well. People are worried that they're going to do something irreversible with the bonding. The rabbits are going to hurt each other, or the rabbits are going to hate each other and they'll never be able to bond them. So it's a very normal fear, but even if you try something and it doesn't work, usually you can reverse it. Bunnies can be got over a grudge. I've done lots of rebonding. I would say probably 60% of the bonding that I've done is actually rebonding of rabbits that have fallen out. Usually they've fallen out when the hormones kicked in before they got neutered. And they do bear a grudge because they do remember. But there are ways to get them over that and still get them through the bonding process so that they fall in love again. I've rebonded as well, even after injuries. So even if the worst happens, it's still possible to rebond after injuries. I've rebonded rabbits that have torn each other's ears. One pair where one rabbit was left with a permanent limp because they'd fought so badly. Still managed to bond them, and they're all living happily still at this stage. But do remember as well that the injuries are less likely to happen when you're there looking at them. So I had a lady on one of my challenges, and she was a vet, and she said that a lot of the injuries that they saw with rabbits coming in were actually rabbits that had gotten into each other when they weren't bonded and they'd hurt each other, as opposed to rabbits that were actually bonding and somebody was there watching them. I've never had an injury that I've had to take them to the vet because I watch them all the time. So if you're there to watch them all the time, your chances of them injuring each other are much less, especially if you know how to read the behaviours. And of course, I've got the experience to do that. But if you're worried about the behaviours,
I've got a video class called Identifying and Dealing with the Bonding Behaviours. That's €20.
and it's basically videos of bonding that I have done, so that I can show you what each behavior looks like, and I explain to you how to step in and when to step in. Because I think you read a lot online about don't allow this and do allow that, and what does that look like in real rabbits? And if you step in too early, what happens is the rabbits can't work out their hierarchy, so you won't have a strong bond, or they won't bond at all. If you step in too late, you do risk an injury.
So it's very important to know which behaviours you should allow and which ones you shouldn't allow, and exactly when and how to step in as well, so that they can work out that hierarchy in a safe way without an injury.
So if they do have an injury, you do have to give them a break. You have to let them heal up and need to decide if you want to go again. But it is possible usually to get them over their negative feelings and rebuild that trust. So think positive. This will rub off on the bunnies. It's in them to want to bond and to want that friend and to want the grooming and the cuddling that they had when they were litter mates. And I believe in your ability to do it. You should believe in yourself as well. And thinking positive will rub off on the bunnies too. So another thing that people are worried about is they're not happy about restricting their spaces at cruel. So your rabbits could be free roam, or they could be used to a much larger space, and it just seems alien to us, right, to put them into a small pen. We all know that a hutch is not enough and that they need space. So it seems completely opposite of what we should be doing. But here's why you use a small space in most cases, not always, in most cases. It's usually used because it's easier to deal with issues. If your rabbits are only in a small pen, you're much better able to get hold of them and separate them if they have a fight. So there's less chance of them hurting each other. Whereas if you actually have them in a bigger space, they could be chasing each other around or having a fight, and you're trying to catch hold of them in a larger pen. So they're much more likely to be injured. So it is really better to start with a smaller space in most cases. Also, they have to interact, and it builds trust. So in a bigger space, they can just ignore each other, and that's not really bonding. It's just coexisting. So what we want them to do is interact, get to know each other, get used to each other's movements and smell and noises. If they make noises, thumping, and then they're less afraid of each other, and it starts to build the trust. So that's why you use a smaller space. So remember your bigger picture. This is only temporary, and it will be worth it. So remember that eventually your goal is to have them free roaming or have this large space together. So this is only temporary to get you from A to B so that they can live happily, and it'll be worth it in the end. If you care for your rabbit's mental and physical health during bonding, this will help you feel better as well, because you'll feel as though you are meeting their needs.
And finally, one fear that I hear from people quite often is that they're worried that their rabbit isn't going to love them anymore when they're bonded.
But at the end of the process, a lot of people say, gosh, I know my bunnies so much more than I did at the beginning because I was spending so much time with them, and I'm looking at every little movement that they're making and they're responding to me more. People often at the beginning are having to interact with the rabbits very closely and having to sort out their behaviours.
So in actual fact, their bond is often stronger with their bunnies at the end of bonding than beforehand.
So I hope that's really helped you to know that everybody feels like this and it's normal. Try and keep calm and don't panic. You can do this, your bunnies can do this, and it will be really worth it when you have rabbits that are grooming and snuggling and loved up. So you will think it's worth it when you get to that stage and you get through the process. You will look at it and go, yeah, it was totally worth it. I've had lots of people say that to me. Nearly always everybody says it. Even if they've been weeks and weeks on it, they're like, yeah, this is so worth it. My life is better because I'm not stepping over runs and stair gates all the time. The bunnies' lives are better because they're happy and they're loved up together, and totally worth it. So it will be worth it. So just like learning a new skill, doing something that you've never done before, it will take time, but it will be worth it in the end. So I hope that you've really found that helpful. I hope you're feeling much better about bonding, and do let me know if I can help at all. You know where I am. Okay, take care. See you soon.